So if I just heard the Elon Musk interview, he had a recent one on CNBC the other day. I love Elon Musk. So he said that the question was with regards to open AI and the AI that's all going on. And he goes, Tesla's going to have a similar moment pretty soon. And the person conducting the interview goes, okay, how so? Well, he's like, we're going to have, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million cars that are going to be all driving autonomously. They're like 99% of the way there, or 98.5. And it's very
close,
difficult to get to the end where the car, there's little decisions the brain of the car needs to make.
Yeah.
And they're not there yet. But so to play devil's advocate for Uber, I feel like if Tesla's almost there, that means that they're the leader in this space in terms of autonomous driving, but Uber is not that far behind.
Correct.
So if Uber gets there, let's say they get to that 100% mark or 99.9% mark within 5 years, wouldn't they? I think it's very difficult to drive around here, especially in the winter, because the computer can't see the lanes. But let's say it's just straight highway for 1,000 miles. I mean, why can't the computer do that? You know what I mean? I feel like that's when it's going to start kicking in, and it's going to be good for the consumer, in my opinion, because obviously that's going to drive the cost down. It's going to be less expensive because you're not going to need an actual driver to drive the trucks. What do you have to say about that? Or do I not know what the hell I'm talking about?
I was dying for you to ask me this question. So, I think a straight drive cross country, not cross border.
Yeah.
The reason being not cross border is because there are, in our industry, we also ship less than truckloads. So you say, hey, Justin, I have a skid of T-shirts I need you to pick up in Toronto going to California. Great. But in that truck, there's going to be 24 other pallets of somebody else's freight. So when you don't have a driver and you get to a border and there's something wrong, what do? Is the border agent going to have to get into your truck?
That's not going to happen.
They're not budging. So, I think like you said, nice weather. You want to drive from, I don't know,
California to Texas or
California
something.
to Texas. Yeah. It's like you said, a few or 1,000 miles or whatever it may be. Maybe it'll work. But there are a lot of things that could go wrong on a truck. So daily we see, truckers, the truck breaking down, tires. It's still a moving object that needs to be, for people, like, you need to update your truck. You need new tires. You need oil changes. You need all this stuff. So, like, how do you make sure that your truck never
breaks down? You don't.
So it's very hard. You know what I mean? And so once it does break down, does the computer know, like, do I just stop? Like, how do I let my customers now know, like, this is not delivering when I said it was going to deliver? And, you said it's going to be cheaper because you don't have a driver. But I think the technology that you've now put in these trucks really outweighs having that person there.
In the short term, yes, it's more capital intensive. But in the long term, because everyone knows there's a massive truck driver shortage.
There is.
And I don't see that changing. Do you see that changing?
Not right now. Well, right now, our industry kind of flipped. So right now, there's a lot of truck availability.
Yeah.
There's not as much freight. So prices are going down and down and down.
Yeah.
More competition within your customer base.
Yeah.
Margins aren't as good.
Yeah.
But, I would say, I'm not going to say rode the gravy train for 2.5 years during COVID, but, a lot of people did.
Yeah, you guys were making bank.
A lot of people took advantage of their customers during that time.
Can you give some examples of how outrageous the shipping costs were? For example, I heard on a container to go from point A to point B over the ocean was at 1.4 times more expensive than what
So
it was
here-
in the past? Or
Easy for you to, or easy for a lot of people. Today, China to BC,
yeah,
you'll pay just under maybe 2,000 USD
Okay.
per container, 40-foot container,
yeah.
or a 20-foot container. During COVID, it was about 25,000.
Oh my God!
And
It was 10x.
Yeah, so these shipping lines were recording quarterly numbers better than years of, what they were bringing in. And, during COVID, I gained a customer. Funny story is my brother-in-law's in real estate.
Yeah.
And this customer is a wholesaler and manufacturer of furniture. And, my brother-in-law is going to buy furniture for one of his buildings. He's speaking to the owner, and he's like, our shipping, it's just a disaster. We have containers stuck at ports. And when you have a container stuck in a port, it gets very excessive in daily costs. And so he's like, oh, my brother-in-law's in transport. You should talk to him. End up going to see him. And this poor customer, I went to work at their office for about 2.5 months with one of my employees to fix their issue. And it costed them about $2.5 to $3 million in fees.
Because it was stuck at the port.
Correct. So prior to COVID, these shipping lines would say, oh, okay, you're our customer. You need it to go to this destination. We'll bring it to your final destination for you. They'll offload the container, and then we'll take the container back. During COVID, because they were making so much money with these containers, they want to get their containers as quickly as possible to the port of BC. They weren't bringing it to customers. You arrange your own transport. Get your stuff out of my container. I want my container back. My customer had about 500 to 600 containers stuck at the port of BC. That all had to come to Montreal.
Oh my God.
So not only, and they're charging you, it's a daily thing. So like from 1 to 3 days after the allotted time given, it's 250 USD a day. Then from 4 to 6 days, it's 500, and it goes up to about $5,000 a day.
So the containers were stuck at the port.
Correct.
And this client couldn't arrange for a trucking company to come and snag it and take it?
So what they had to do is, because if you now take that container that's already late,
Yeah.
put it on the rail, which is the cheaper option from BC to Montreal,
Yeah.
offload that container now has to go back to BC.
Okay.
So the cheapest option for them
Yeah.
was, okay, let's take this container. We're going to de-stuff everything out of the container in BC. We'll put the container back where it's supposed to be in BC. So it could be a 2 to 3 day turnaround. And we'll just put your goods on a rail car to Montreal. So that's what we did. And, thank God that this customer, have been in business for a long time and had the capital, because they were I had their credit card.
That could have bankrupted the company.
100%.
That
Easy.
would bankrupt most companies.
100%.
$2.5 million cash.
Cash.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
Yeah, it's it was scary, and what it goes to show you that I was spending more time at their office trying to fix their issue than their own employees. We'd be there first, we'd leave last, and you're like. And one time I just spoke to the owner. I was just like, I'm not understanding how, I'm here to help you. Obviously, we're going to make a bit of money, but your employees, like 5 o'clock, they're up, they're gone. They don't care. They don't care about that it's costing you millions of dollars, that your freight's not in Montreal where it's supposed to be, or in Toronto. And they have huge customers, Bro and Martineau, Sleep Country, there, And it was a sad situation. Obviously, it's rectified now, but you still feel the effects of everything that happened during COVID and these high prices. You still feel the effects of it today, because what he said is, you want to charge me $25,000 to get my couches from China to here? I don't care. The consumer ends up paying.
Yeah, I'm just going to pass it on to the consumer.
Exactly. Everything is passed down. And the people who pay are the consumers.